All right, should we talk about some video games?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I have this titled as Is Far Harbor Worth Buying? I'm a massive Fallout 4 fan. I love playing it. You enjoy Fallout 4.
I do.
You gave it a 9 out of 10.
I
Is
did.
that right? Yeah. Rob Handlery, you also enjoyed Fallout 4. Is Far Harbor worth picking up? Peter first.
For $25, I would have a very hard time recommending it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it goes deeper than should you buy it or not, because it depends on what you want out of it.
All right. So what are we talking about in terms of, let's get down to the boring digits. What are we talking with game length? With add-on length, DLC length.
I'd say it's fair to estimate between, say an average like 15 hours if you're really trying to go out there and like do a bunch of stuff, right? If you're only interested in sort of the main path of the story, 6 hours, I'd say around there. So it depends on what you want. If you want to seek out a lot of crazy mods like Rob, that's where you're going to buy a lot of your time.
All right, let's speak to some of that stuff then right off the bat. So how did you enjoy Far Harbor? What did you think of it? What was sort of most of the activities you were doing with your time with the game?
Yeah, I mean, I was making features, so I was kind of playing in the sense of new weapons. What are the new weapons, new gear? I was kind of investing in a little bit more of the side quests and exploration. There's a lot of cool areas to, every building has a story, which is still the same case, very Fallout-ish. But mainly the weapons. The weapons are, for the most part, fun. You got some cool new ones like a harpoon gun, which was surprising. You could, if you impaled someone in the head, I made a feature where I did not expect it, but sure enough, the head ripped off and impaled into a tree. That was a fun surprise. You get some other types of weapons, but yeah, having not actually finished the main storyline, this is where I think Peter was going to get at was, what do you like out of Fallout? Do you like exploring and just soaking in, having no real drive to maybe finish the main storyline, but like kind of just explore it? And there's so many new buildings and such. In that case, I'd say go for it. But the main storyline, I got kind of burnt out on myself.
Peter, you had some problems with the story as well? Didn't really tickle your interest? I mean, like Fallout, if anything, Fallout's main campaigns have always been a sort of a bit of a sore spot. Even Fallout 4's main campaign is kind of fine. It's the side quest stuff is usually a bit better. So the main sort of thread in this one, the main quest, you've got some issues with it without getting into too much into spoilery stuff, I guess.
Sure. I mean, let me at least say that like for Fallout 4's main campaign, like the primary storyline, I appreciated that. Like I appreciated the things that it did, and specifically the time and space it gave me to sort of figure out how I fit into that and how I want to influence it. Right. Far Harbor, it's this very quick procession of, okay, here's one group. Okay, now here's another group. And here's a third group. And here's a problem. And what do you think? What are you going to do about it? What's your choice? Huh? Hey. And, it even raises some philosophical questions about, I don't want to say anything, but it raises some philosophical questions that seem completely unearned because, one, they're illogical, and two, the sort of drama behind it kind of comes out of nowhere. And I felt like my character, like the character I'm role-playing, was ill-equipped to address something like that in an instant. And yet here I was basically able to make a decision, yay or nay, that would influence like my character's psyche completely.
Right.
And I just didn't feel like Far Harbor sort of earned the weight that it was offering me in terms of, drama. And
was that because you were sort of being introduced to all these characters so quickly and then...
I'm okay with being introduced to them fast. That's fine. But it's sort of the actions they take and the way that they impart their identity and the role that they play onto you. It just felt like it was this sort of immediate delivery of, it wasn't just who they are, but what they stand for and how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Without giving you the time to really feel it out. I mean, granted, you could go on side quests and prolong your decision, but the fact is that these questions are raised very soon after you meet these characters. And it's just kind of like, well, I didn't even have a chance to like take a second. I mean, you can tell them, hold on, I'll think about it.
I'll be back in a second.
Right. But these questions should come later. And that's unfortunate. But, to Rob's point, like I do appreciate the world. Like it's more Fallout's combat, more Fallout's exploration.
Is it a big area?
Crafting.
Is it
it's
like
pretty
fun
big.
Because I'm all about that exploration stuff, so that's interesting to me.
I wouldn't call it huge. Like a lot of people I'm seeing write about the game are referring to it as this like massive thing. Like for DLC maybe, But
It's kind of odd because that's what my impression was. I mean, one of the main selling points was like Bethesda's biggest add-on to date,
Right.
landmass wise. And I found it pretty easy to get around, and you're exploring things pretty quickly. But one of my frustrations as well, and this even ties into like the fog nature of the island.
Right.
Everything has fog, and it kind of gets old, at least for me, pretty quick. Where
Like, I bought this new graphics card, assholes.
exactly, and we'll get into how it performs, I guess, a little bit later. But for an area that I'd like to hit say I climb the top of the highest peak.
Fog.
Like I'd like to see something different. I like that was cool about Fallout 4, right? Like you get these areas, like here's this. Now I'm even closer. Here's the blimp of the Brotherhood.
So the fog is just kind of ubiquitous. It's kind of all over.
It just gets pretty stale for me, at least. And if you want to get into the performance,
yeah, talk about some of that, because before we actually we had preview code which had some interesting frame rate issues. Did that stuff ever get resolved, or is?
guess what? No, it didn't.
Okay, there you go.
I'd say a little bit.
All right.
You're full of shit.
No, I would say that. I know. Well, I played the preview build wherever we had.
Yeah.
And it was unplayable.
It was like really bad, right?
It was like
single digit frame.
10 frames.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe. Like this
What were you
so
playing
this was this is for PS4.
Okay.
So this is strictly in the fog. And then when you got combat going on, good luck. Like it's so atrocious. Your footage I was looking at looks playable, but I would not be comfortable saying it's like.
Did you play on PS4 or PC?
PS4, and I watched him play a little bit on PC, which he'll explain also kind of exhibited some optimization problems.
Nowhere near as bad. I mean, I'd say like I have I played even on a 670 at home and then a 970 here in the office, and I've played this game before. It should be a solid 60. I've optimized it prior, and it would get downwards to about 30, maybe 45, strictly in the fog. And combat situations in that fog.
It's weird because I remember there were some people who were having PS4 problems with the original. Remember Jeff, Giant Bomb was having some problems with the PS4 version of Fallout 4 proper, and like none of us did at all.
Yeah, I remember the lobby episode we talked about that, actually. Yeah.
So it was interesting, but it's funny that once again, Fallout 3 historically had problems on PlayStation as well. But yeah, it seems to be sort of a recurring problem with those guys.
Yeah, and it's really just because of the fog. I mean, it's it's either physics-based or volumetric, fog, and whatever it is, it's causing that game to have to crunch more numbers, and it's a style choice, right? I mean, the fog could be there; it doesn't have to be so strong.
Yeah,
but
or even like
here we are.
I'm no developer, but I think it'd be aesthetically cooler if it came out only at night,
right?
Or like just had these moments, because I'm a big fan of that. Like the ideas of like, you thought it was worse now. Well, here comes the fog, like in waves. Like just to kind of keep a nice different pace. I don't know,
but it's just kind of always
it's just constant, and it's just kind of flat. Yeah.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the problems that are with this thing. I'm assuming it's not a complete train wreck.
No,
is it fun? Like, the combat in Fallout is pretty great. Like, I happily spend hundreds of hours playing this game already because it's just fun to shoot stuff and exploring. Yeah. So, I guess, are you enjoying that aspect of Far Harbor?
Yeah, dude. New environments, new monsters, new weapons. Considering I like the combat, all of that sort of just gives me more to chew on, new things to see. It was great. Like, I like that part a lot.
What about yourself?
Yeah. Oh, there are a couple new monsters that were really surprising in how awesome they were. Like these mutant salamanders called gulpers. Oh my gosh. Like they are just the fucking worst, dude. They you see them from afar and they come at you and they do this like snake slide. So you're like trying to get your crosshair fixed on these dudes. Yeah, and that's like, oh yeah, that's what you want. But they're super fun. Yeah, tons of new creatures. And again, the weapon I did a piece and then stumbled across this weapon that someone said in the comments. Oh, you didn't find the striker.
Right.
There's a bowling alley on the island, and in it, again, this is like where Fallout for me is the best. Like my favorite memories are taken away from where someone got the freedom to make their own story in one environment, without anything else.
Yeah.
So it's a story. I don't know if I spoil it, but it's pretty cool. In the end of it, you get a bowling ball launcher.
Okay.
And have at it. It's super fun. So you're just firing, bowling balls at like dudes' heads.
Which you had done with the junk jet. Because you can put bowling balls in that as well, right?
Yeah. Does the character say strike?
No, even better though. No, even better though.
This is a gutter ball.
No, once you get the kill, it's the sound effect of pins knocking down.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it's like there was like one guy here. That's sound effect. Is there a speaker on this thing? But it's
cool.
fun. Yeah.
All right, so I kind of feel like this would have been the perfect bit of DLC to play if you'd gotten the like cheap version of the season pass or something. Like a kind of
Totally.
not to bring the
Yeah.
whole money into whether it's worth it debate all over again, but
Well, sometimes it is. I mean, this has been how many months now since we played Fallout?
like
since
half
the
a
game
year
came
at
out?
least,
6
I guess.
months,
Yeah.
not counting automatron stuff.
right.
But yeah, like it's been a long time for some people. So throwing another $25 at something is, I think, a reasonable thing to consider.
Yeah. All right. When will the review be live on GameSpot?
Working on the video review right now. It'll be live tonight.
Okay, cool. So it may already be up by the time you watch this. If you're watching this on demand, if you're watching this live, make sure to come back to GameSpot.com later this evening for that review. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
I'm out of here.
You are out of here. You're both out of here, actually.
Sick.